Thank you. Rebuttal.
Well, it's kind of hard to go here. Mr. Farley really needs to keep up with his research. The University of Mississippi does indeed manufacture marijuana for a set of originally 9 federally approved patients. There are more than one alive. In fact, I was hanging out with 2 of them at the same time in San Francisco just about a month ago. They are still in that program now. The FDA and Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, this is a clear distinction. So heroin is in Schedule 1, morphine is in Schedule 2. There are no Schedule 1 drugs that are available for prescription, Mr. Farley. None at all. That's why there is Schedule 1. In fact, the definition of Schedule 1 is that it has no medical value. That's why we fight so hard for the scientific evidence out there to be accepted by the FDA today. The barriers that are out there to FDA approval are many, and it is convoluted bureaucracy for sure, but that is the value of state-authorized medical marijuana programs. Do we wait while we throw more people in jail? Do we wait for the FDA and this 70-year-old policy to end? No. We stop arresting patients.
Thank you. Mr. Goldstein, another question from the audience, slightly reworded by the moderator. If medical marijuana is passed, what restrictions and safeguards will be put on it to ensure that those who are under treatment will not be a danger to themselves or others? Incapacity similar to driving, as the person mentions here, or in the workplace. What safeguards are available, are written into the law right now?
Certainly. Actually, one of the great things about the New Jersey Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act is that it draws on the experience of the 13 states that already have active legislation. This bill has been considered by the New Jersey legislature for almost 5 years. It has been gone through with a fine-tooth comb. It has been reworded and restated 17 times since the bill's introduction. What you have here is the most restrictive program proposed in the entire United States. To make sure that no one gains access to medical marijuana other than qualified patients, the process would be this. You would go to your doctor, your bona fide physician caregiver, as laid out by the law. If they felt medical marijuana would be beneficial for your condition, they would write you a recommendation, but that wouldn't be enough for you to get pot. You would have to go to the Department of Health with that recommendation, and then the Department of Health would have to approve that recommendation, at which point you would get a registry card, and then you would go to an alternative treatment center to acquire your medicine. As far as safeguards within the bill, it outlines that you cannot operate an aircraft, a motor vehicle, or a boat while you're using your medical marijuana, just like we wouldn't want anyone operating an aircraft, a boat, or a motor vehicle if they were taking codeine cold medicine during the day as well. It's a standard recommendation for many medications and therapies out there. In fact, if you're put into a sauna and given a massage at a chiropractor's office, they recommend you not drive after that too. So the safeguards are built within the bill. It outlines that already. But also more important within the bill are the protections for the physicians and the patients themselves. Physicians and patients can't be sanctioned for recommending marijuana. Physicians can't be thrown out off their board certifications for recommending marijuana for their patients. Patients can't be sanctioned by their business unions for actually using medical marijuana. So in many ways, this bill is actually stronger than other states. It takes away the discrimination that exists in some states still for medical marijuana users today. I think that this bill, the New Jersey Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act, and you're speaking with someone who has read cover to cover, and I know this bill by heart, about 16 pieces of medical marijuana legislation. You won't find anything much more rock solid than the Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act of New Jersey. We're actually very lucky. Our legislators have very carefully crafted this bill to make sure that it is the safest, most accessible bill in the United States we've got.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Farley.
I'd like to know what bill he's talking about, because we have 2, and among his group, there's a huge fight over the restrictions. The first bill was very much like California. The second bill is very much like Rhode Island, much more restrictive, and they're now fighting between themselves to get the less restrictive bill. And as far as safeguards, the question you asked, which he ignored completely, what safeguards? There's not a single safeguard in this bill that has any meaning whatsoever. He mentions you can't operate a plane. Well, you can't do that with alcohol either. But we know from studies in the United States and other countries that people are as likely to use use marijuana as they are alcohol and operate a vehicle. And the numbers are astronomical.
Thank you. All right, question for you, Mr. Farley, from the audience. Why does the way a person receives this medicinal marijuana matter? For instance, vaporization or edible. Either way, you are receiving the marijuana.
It matters because it shows that this is a hoax. That these people who want this bill absolutely refuse. I've given Chris 4 or 5 opportunities tonight to say he would go along with a bill that didn't include smokable marijuana. It shows that this is their red herring, as they've called it for the last 25 years, and they want people who want to smoke dope. And those are the people they expect to support their position. Fact of the matter is, they'll never get that passed, and they know it. If it's so important and it's so good and does all these wonderful things, why not just agree on the method of administration? We know that smoking is the worst possible thing that a sick person could do. It affects your immune system, many, many other systems. And every medical association in the world says you do not take a medicine by smoking it, that it's deleterious on its own just being smoked. That's why it's important.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Goldstein.
Marijuana does not impact your immune system in a negative fashion. Studies done at the University of California show that AIDS patients who use regular amounts of medical marijuana actually have an increase in their T cell counts. The issue of smoking medical marijuana is an important one. It is the easiest method that patients can actually utilize. It's been used by humans for 5,000 years. There are no deleterious effects towards moderate long-term use of marijuana by medical patients. That's a well-documented fact. Why would we want to advocate for marijuana to be used in a method that is not consistent with how it's already being used today and how it's been used by humans for thousands of years? Vaporization is a great new technology, one that actually eliminates the polyhydrocarbons and some of the bad things in smoke. But again, that's for the most fragile patients. For most medical marijuana patients who seek to use marijuana therapy, they can safely smoke marijuana.
Thank you.